The Cornia Valley in the south of Tuscany, with its swathes of oak and linden woodlands, olive groves and Mediterranean maquis, the Cornia Valley provides many animal species with their ideal habitat. The importance of this area throughout history can be seen in the remains of the Etruscan and Roman civilizations and in the medieval construction of villages and fortresses, a blend of art, culture and nature. The beauty of the hilly green landscape and coastline of pristine beaches is protected by a network of archaeology parks and nature reserves. The valley owes its name to the river Cornia, which flows from its source in the metalliferous hills along a 50-kilometre course through the provinces of Pisa, Roseto and Livorno, and 365 square kilometre catchment area before reaching the coast on the Tyrrhenian Sea opposite the island of Elba. With the collapse of the steel industry, the local economy has focused on agriculture, especially vegetable crops, and tourism, which embraces not only the seaside resorts, but also the many historical, cultural and environmental assets in the area. However, this part of Tuscany has one of the lowest rainfalls in the region and is in dire need of water. Unsustainable water management can have serious consequences for the environment and for social and economic development. Water is our most precious asset, but it is not unlimited. Climate change also impacts the Cornia Valley, with increasingly frequent periods of drought and sudden and violent rainstorms. This means that we need a new approach, aimed at a more prudent use of water resources and better town and country planning. In the river Cornia Valley, water for human use is sourced from groundwater. Water drawn from wells is used for drinking and washing. It's used to irrigate the fields, and it's needed in hotels, factories and workshops. The wells of the Cornia Valley feed into an offshore pipeline and help supply around half the water requirements of the island of Elba. In the last century, huge quantities of water were extracted from the large underground reservoir formed by the aquifer located under the river valley. This intensive exploitation produced a deficit of several million cubic meters of water. The water table dropped because the water taken exceeded the water that managed to infiltrate and be stored as groundwater. Wells along the coast drew in water from the sea, and once full of salt water and unable to supply good quality water, were abandoned and farmers were forced to plant less valuable crops. The extensive withdrawal of water by a wide variety of concerns can, in a number of areas, even lead to the alteration of the natural habitat. The Life Rewat project came into being to develop a participatory strategy based on 5 innovative, low environmental impact projects and on the sharing of an approach that acknowledges the value of water so that sustainable management of the water resources in the Cornia Valley can be achieved. The first project to be carried out was the managed aquifer recharge scheme in Forni in the municipality of Suvereto. The concept behind this scheme is to store water in the large natural reservoir of the aquifer during the seasons when water is more readily available, i.e. in winter and spring. Utilising this large capacity to store good quality water underground has both economic and environmental benefits. The investment of around €1 per cubic metre compares favourably with the €5 or €6 per cubic metre needed for surface reservoirs. By exploiting the transport capacity of the groundwater, the costs of channelling water are low, the site can be easily identified, and no land use or provision of ecosystem services are necessary. The technique is very simple. When the flow of the River Cornia exceeds the minimum ecological flow, some of its waters are diverted into a small, highly permeable recharge basin of sand and gravel, where the water can filter into the aquifer. The second of its type to be built in Italy, this managed recharging scheme is fitted with a highly advanced control system and enables the infiltration of approximately 500,000 cubic meters of water per year. The second project, carried out in the municipality of Suvereto, involves the morphological restoration of a meander zone of the River Cornia. The project aims to restore as much as possible of the ecological and morphological equilibrium of the watercourse after decades between the post-war period and the 1980s of gravel excavation, which gouged out and caused significant narrowing of the riverbed. The project was carried out in 3 sections, totaling over 1 kilometre, in the meander zone of the River Cornia, where the riverbed is in direct contact with the water table. The main purpose was to increase the natural recharging of the groundwater by relocating approximately 3,500 cubic metres of river sediment and redesigning and widening the active riverbed in order to increase the surface area in contact with water and restore the river's ecological functionality to the benefit of both the natural recharge process and the river ecosystem. Invasive vegetation was removed and autochthonous tree species were planted. The river restoration increased the natural recharge of the aquifer by approximately 1,500,000 cubic metres per year. The third project aimed at reducing losses from the aqueduct network in the town of Piombino. The town was divided into 4 districts: Capriola, Progetto Cotone, Ghiaccioni and the Old Town. Data from the geographical mapping of the entire network, the physical measurement of flow and pressure values, and statistics regarding consumption were acquired for each district. The comparative analysis of the actual data for consumption in each district and simulated data for every day of the year formed the basis of a survey for water losses using measuring instruments. Parallel to the search for and repair of leaks, the pressure in the network was optimised to ensure that the quality and quantity of the water supply could be maintained at the lowest feasible pressure, and that the network would be subjected to less stress, less risk of rupture, and therefore lower levels of loss. The project enabled a 5% reduction in losses, equivalent to water savings of approximately 460,000 cubic metres per year. The fourth project, in Caldanelle in the municipality of Campiglia Marittima, involved a precision irrigation system to enable water savings in agriculture. The project saw the implementation of a subsurface drip irrigation system for the cultivation of artichokes. Drip irrigation distributes water close to the plant and its root system, and only wets a portion of the soil rather than the whole area. This innovative, low-pressure, high-efficiency irrigation system is able to supply the quantity of water necessary. Compared to sprinkler irrigation systems and more modern surface micro-irrigation systems, much less water is wasted without affecting crop yields. Management of the irrigation equipment is completely automated by means of a sophisticated remote control system. The experiment resulted in a 75% decrease in the amount of water needed compared to a traditional sprinkler system, and a greater return of €1.80 for every euro invested compared to the return of €1.30 from surface drip irrigation. The The fifth project is the wastewater reuse system for irrigating the sports field in La Pieve in the municipality of Campiglia Marittima. The Campo di Gallo treatment plant treats mixed sewage from the town of Campiglia Marittima. For the project, wastewater from the purifier underwent specific treatment so that it could be used to irrigate the sports field. An aspiration, filtration, disinfection and relaunching system of the water coming out of the purifier labyrinth was built to feed an underground tank supplying the irrigation system of the sports field. The project made it possible to recover approximately 4,500 cubic meters of wastewater per year to be reused to irrigate the sports field, thereby saving a similar volume of drinking water. This small pilot project has enabled the region of Tuscany to launch authorization procedures in line with the new European regulation for wastewater reuse. The experiment was the forerunner for a much larger project financed by the region of Tuscany and carried out by the water service provider ASA and the Reclamation Consortium for the reuse, for irrigation purposes, of wastewater from the Guardamare treatment plant in the municipality of San Vincenzo. The river contract. To consolidate, capitalise on and develop the results and good practices of the Rewat project, a participatory, voluntary and inclusive process was undertaken towards the signing of the Cornia River Contract, a binding pact of cooperation in matters related to water resources and the sustainable management of watercourses for the signatories representing approximately 60 public and private stakeholders. These include municipalities in the Cornia Basin, the Reclamation Consortium, the water service provider ASA, the region of Tuscany, environmental and sports associations, schools, professional associations and agricultural trade associations. The Cornia River Contract will define the concrete, coordinated and integrated actions to be implemented in the coming years in the Cornia Valley area, such as aquifer recharging, the reuse of wastewater for irrigation, activities to raise awareness of the rational use of water, risk mitigation schemes, water education projects, and the maintenance of watercourses. Life Rewat is a climate change adaptation project to promote the innovative, sustainable and participatory management of water resources. It involves the No. 5 Reclamation Consortium, Tuscany Coast, the Environmental Services Company ASA, the region of Tuscany and the Sant'Anna School of Advanced Studies in Pisa. The project is supported by the municipalities of Campiglia Marittima, Piombino and Suvereto and was brought about with co-financing from the European Union LIFE programme. Through this project, the Cornia Valley has become a laboratory for innovation. Life Rewat has enabled us to store groundwater with low construction costs and to achieve savings of approximately 2,500,000 cubic meters of water every year, with great benefits for the environment. This can now be transferred and replicated throughout the Mediterranean area. Above all, it has enabled us to create a participatory approach based on the value of water as a common good and to encourage widespread sensitivity to the importance for society, the environment and the economy and its sustainability of water, bearing in mind that many people in the world today still have no access to drinking water.